Cuphead is a platforming game. Cuphead is a boss rush game where you sell your soul to a devil and you have to get different contracts for the devil as you go through the game to try to pay back your debt. And as you go through that, the different soul contracts are given to you by the bosses, and you can also find coins scattered throughout the world to add to your collection and buy more weapons. And that's basically the gist of it. There's a dash, there's a jump, there's a parry. Most people that have played the game will tell you it is not an easy game. It was one of the main critiques of the game when it first released, was the difficulty of it. They even called it Souls-like. And honestly, it is hard at first, but it's kind of the opposite scenario where you have games that are usually easy to pick up, hard to master. Cuphead kind of is the opposite, where it's hard to pick up, you die more, it's less fun, but it's easier to master because once you get the mechanics down, all you have to do is learn the boss fights and kind of dance to their rhythm, figure out their song, and then you have it down pat. And then you can move on to harder challenges for yourself. And so you might be wondering, why do I play that?
What the fuck?
I panicked on the eye, man.
I know, why did you stay in the middle?
I don't know, I just wanted to like go hit him. I panicked so hard.
Here's the thing. When you play other boss designed games, you figure out a way to cheese it, you beat it once and you're done with it. Or you beat it with skill and you get good. So those are your two ways. The interesting about Cuphead is that it gives you kind of a little report card at the end on the time it took you to beat it, the amount of parries you had, the amount of supers you used, and your overall grade. And this is interesting because it's basically telling you you can do better every time you win the fight. So in the beginning, you don't really give a fuck. I'll take that C+ if I can just get past that stupid robot, Dr. Cal's robot. Anyways, you get to the report card and you don't care at first. But then when you're 200%ing and 100%ing, you actually have to care. You actually have to make sure you do it a bit faster. You have to kind of clean up those areas of your game that you're lacking in. Maybe you're not parrying enough. Maybe you haven't figured out everything you can parry. Maybe you aren't using your super enough. Maybe you're waiting too long to use your super. You parry more, you get more super. Like there's incentives to get better at the fight other than just beating the fight. And that's what's interesting about Cuphead compared to other boss games, is that mainly the incentive to beat the boss is to just get to the next one or get further in the story or progress the level. But Cuphead encourages you to perfect that boss.
Nice. Nice. I think that was it. I think we're good, Brody. We did it.
Nice. 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 Oh, just barely.
I know.
Is that aisle 2 done?
Yeah, that's aisle 2
Holy
done.
fucking shit.
There are times where it is just, you just want to stop. You're like, I beat this guy 4 times in a row and I still couldn't do it, get that last 3 seconds. But I kind of like it because it's kind of like playing an instrument. Like you can play through the song, you can play through it a bit slower at a different pace, but it doesn't sound perfect until you get all the tempo and the pitch and the rhythm and all those little things that go into playing a song perfectly. It kind of resembles that, and that's how you get your A and S ranks in Cuphead. So that's the difference between it and other games, I find, is that you have to learn to play everything perfectly. You learn the rhythm and then you execute. And the feeling of fully conquering one of those bosses is just like the feeling of fully playing a song perfectly. The next thing would be achievements. Now, achievements are controversial. Some people do them, some people don't. I think most people don't do them, actually, and me included. The achievements are different in this game in the fact that they take the base game from the developers and without glitches or exploits, they make you play the game differently. It makes you realize how much more thought and how much more ways there are to play without having to break it like a speedrunner would. The weapons, again, I didn't play with the charge shot for the entire game. Almost the entire 300%, I didn't touch the charge shot because I play with stupid keyboard and mouse controls that suck and I can't aim. And I don't know why I got used to that like 4 years ago, but I did. And it was only till the end of the game where I was trying to do faster times when I started using the charge shot. Because the interesting thing about the charge shot is that post like speedrunner, lobber, roundabout combo nerf, the charge shot is actually kind of the fastest way to get the most damage on most bosses in the game. So I was forced to use the charge shot to try to get my S ranks on some of the bosses because of how fast I can do my damage. And the craziest thing is like it takes some skill. It took some learning. There was a learning curve, and each weapon has one, but the charge shot kind of has its own tier of learning. And yeah, so like the weapons make you play the game differently. And you A rank, when you S rank, when you do your pacifist runs on running guns, which I'll get into in a second, you change the way you play the game and you change the way you control your character, what weapons you use, what loadout you go into, and it adds a nice fresh spin on every single moment in Cuphead. And if I somehow manage to do it with the arrow keys and Shift ZXC, the 300%, you don't have to 300%. You don't have to S rank everything, but just expert, some achievement hunting, and doing the DLC are all great ways to hop back into this game and maybe give yourself a goal. Because having a goal in this game when you come on is perfect because you only need to set one. Oh, like I would talk to my friend and I'd be like, all right, what boss am I fighting tomorrow morning? It'd be like a Sunday morning or something. He'd go, you're going to try the dragon? And I was just like, oh man, the dragon. Like, I wonder how bad he is on expert. And there was that anticipation. Same with that fucking Wally Warbles. Anyone will meme on this guy in any Cuphead video essay. But this fucking guy on expert is absurdly obnoxious and hard for no reason. And I remember dedicating an entire morning to S ranking this guy. And even beating him on expert took like an hour at least. And that's the other thing is if you're concerned about time, like not take as much time as you think, especially compared to other games like those open world games that have 60,000 NPC side quests and a million things to craft and achievements on things that you would never think of to do even in your base playthrough. And yeah, those big to-do list like quest simulator games, they're not fun to platinum, but Cuphead was. And that was my main goal when I came back, because it started out beating the game on expert, but then that was one of the achievements. I was like, well, if I'm going to get that achievement, it's one of the hardest achievements, so I might as well just try the other ones. And for example, my favorite achievement, I think, and the most memorable one, was the Pacifist Trophy. And the great thing about the Pacifist Trophy is that this makes you take the levels that were previously very skippable, like the running guns. Like I did them all, got all the coins to get all the weapons, and then I never wanted to see them ever again. It made me go back and like kind of appreciate them, because you have to take more care when you're going through it, when you can't freaking shoot the minions. You actually have to pay attention to them. You can't just like, oh, I'm just going to speed run through this and dash through it and who cares. And then it makes you play it differently, and it makes you focus on, oh, what's this guy going to do? Your timings, where you're going to land, and what lives you have to hold on to get past certain enemies. And it is perfect. There's also another one called Rolling Sixes, which is one of those flex achievements that I was talking about earlier, where you have to beat King Die without taking a hit. Now granted, I didn't have to do this one when I came back to the game, because I had already done this somehow. I don't know how. I must have did it in my first playthrough. I didn't even know. So that was very lucky. And then the Bravo Zulu one's interesting because there's not many fights you want to do this on, but you can do it in a King Die minion fight, like one of the little card bosses. So like, that's great. But anyways, all those experiences while you're doing it, the bottom line is you can see the finish line. You can see the next achievement. You can see the next Inkwell Isle. You can see the next boss. You can even see the finish line when you when you beat or die in the game, it literally shows your little Cuphead guy kind of walk towards that little flagpole, and it's like super motivating because if you get like, it just shows you like you're right there, and it's like very motivating. And I don't know, I think many people could give it another shot. They'd really enjoy it. The thing about difficulty in games is it's a subject that's been talked about so many times, and honestly, I think the draw isn't the difficulty, it's the mastery, it's the improvement. That's what brings people into these games. If you're not interested in mastering a particular mechanic or instrument or game, then there's really no reason to play it. And I understand this. There's a lot of people out there that don't want to, but I'm one of those people who get interested and hooked on that feeling. So if you're one of those people, I recommend coming back to this game because the boss design lends itself perfect to this. I've talked about it already, that you kind of learn the boss as you learn a song or you learn a fight in a different game, like a Souls game. And it's a beautiful spectacle to look at because you enter this like flow state where you're dodging everything and like all of a sudden you don't get hit the whole fight and you just like you become the boss, and it's great. And another thing is that expert changes a lot of boss mechanics. There's more minions, there's different moves, there's entire phases. I think, yeah, there's entire phases like in the moon, that fight. She literally brings in another phase that and removes a phase. And so the game, the fight is completely different. And like I said before, the mastery is more satisfying because it was hard at first, but now each fight is an individual battle. You're not messing with the mechanics anymore. You're learning and you're mastering each fight. I guess I could close it out with the future. Studio MDHR, I have to commend them for their blood, sweat, and tears they put into this game. I can't imagine how long the visuals took to create. It probably took like a decade of work if you include the DLC from these passionate developers. And we need more of this. It's a shame that the difficulty curve has turned off a lot of players from getting the best experience they can out of it. I don't think we'll see a Cuphead 2, but I'm excited to see what this studio releases next. I want them to move on. This IP is great. You can keep making that Netflix show, keep going, but we don't need a half-baked sequel. We need another game from the studio. They're great. So that's all from me. Take care, guys. See you in the next one.